Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JBDC's Virtual Biz Zone. We have a very interesting topic for you today, well, as always. And I just want to extend a very special welcome to our first time participants and to our returning participants. Thank you for being here again today. Okay, so this time slot is facilitated by the JBDC's Technical Services Department, responsible for assisting clients with their product development needs from concept to market. And so, as I mentioned, we have been covering some really excellent topics, and they're all geared towards assisting persons with their product development needs and bringing them to the next level, whether it pertains to improving the efficiency of their production or just learning how they can design and develop the best products possible for the market. And so before we covered managing operational efficiency, and we're here today to basically expound on that topic because we're really looking at efficiency in and of itself. So today we're looking at lean production 101, right? So our presenter, he's no stranger. He was here when we covered managing operational efficiency, and he's no stranger to the JBDC. He is a part of the JBDC family. I'm talking about none other than the astute Mr. Jason Bennett. And Jason is a production engineer here at the JBDC, and he is a graduate of the University of Technology, where he completed his bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. He also completed a diploma in mechanical engineering and also achieved the Yellow Belt certification in Lean Six Sigma. He has garnered over 15 years of experience in his field, so he's no baby to this, okay? He's very qualified to deal with this topic for you today. So just before I hand over to Jason, just to let you know, if you're here for the first time, that we generally facilitate questions at the end of the presentation. So if you want, you can type your question in the chat, but we'll address it after his presentation. And when we're ready for questions, you can also click on the icon indicating that you want to raise your hand and we will acknowledge you. So we look forward to hearing what you have to say once he has completed his presentation. So Jason, over to you. Look forward to what you have to tell us today.
All right, thank you very much, Dana, and pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I'm just gonna upload my presentation. So yes, um, good afternoon again to everyone. My name is Jason Bennett, and I'll be your presenter here for Lean Production 101. So let us get into it. First, I will look at an overview, and uh, within lean production itself, a lot of time business owners think about maximizing their profit. And how they tend to go about that is to ramp up their revenue. So they try to get more sales. No one pay attention to the expenses or the cost for production. Now, you can also ramp or increase your profit by reducing your expense. And that is what I'm showing here on the board. So lean production focuses on how you can minimize your expense, which is your production expense or production cost, that is, to maximize your profit. And a general overview of what I'll be discussing or what we'll be discussing is the essence of lean, how you can improve productivity, agile manufacturing, KAIZEN, OEE, which stands for overall equipment effectiveness, short interval control, theory of constraint, TPM, which is total productive maintenance, and the 7 deadly wastes that a lot of people tend to overlook, and it causes a lot of chaos in business operation. So here we go. The essence of lean. In order to improve efficiency, effectiveness, and profitability, the main focus should be on eliminating all aspects of manufacturing slash operation process that add no value from the customer's perspective. Therefore, don't produce a product that your customer will not be willing to pay for. Stick to the exact features and quality that you know your customer base or your target market will be willing to pay you for. And to go about that, you need to eliminate waste totally and improve productivity overall within your operation. Now, to improve productivity, it's an amazing improvement in productivity can be achieved through small daily increment. Every day you go in and you start your operation, there is ways and means how you can actually start to improve your productivity and your operation on a daily basis. And you can achieve this by asking 3 simple questions. Questions as it regards to information, and questions as it regards to the decision that you will be making, and also questions regarding your action that you need to take in order to improve productivity. So for manufacturers or business operators, it's very important for you to do record keeping, because this information is very important, and that will be the key factor in you making your decision and taking action. So the 3 simple steps that you can use, as I mentioned before, information, decision, and action. Now, the information is used from plant floor data that you collect. So you can identify within the data where you have losses, and that information can help you now to review the losses and determine where to focus. And that is how you make decision for whether you're going to tackle where you have the biggest loss, or look at aspect of your operation that is easy win. And I know from your standpoint, it's best to tackle where you have the loss, because this is how you're gonna get rid of all those waste that you are generating. So it's very important to have the information on hand, which you will be collecting from your data through record keeping, and that's accurate record keeping on a daily basis. Okay, so the third point is agree on one action that can be completed during the shift to reduce loss. So you try to make incremental improvement on a daily basis. And if you can do that daily within 1 month, 2 month time, you can find that you can eradicate a certain amount of waste from outside your operation, and see you have an operation going for you that is more effective and efficient. All right. So here I'm gonna give an example of how you would use information to make decision and to plan your action. For example, what are our top 5 source of downtime this shift? That's a question that if you have an operation going for you where you have shift work taking place, and you find that your production or productivity is decreasing, you can ask these questions based on the information collected. Now, the decision would be which of these sources will be easiest to tackle, because I know that you can operate a business and there are multiple problems, but which one of these problems will be the easiest to tackle at this time, and what action can we take right now to attack it. All right. The next example would be, how many units ahead or behind target are we for this ship? And within your decision, you can think about what factors is most stopping us from hitting our target, and what action can we take right now to improve this factor. All right. So this is just a simple technique that can be applied on a daily basis to get rid of some of the waste and to improve productivity. Now, for the business owner, managers, or supervisor, you have to be supportive and you have to be specific. All right, you have to support your line staff and you have to be specific in what you want them to do and what you intend to do to improve productivity. And also, you have to keep it real. You have to be realistic about your task and your target. And of course, you have to follow up, because you cannot just give them orders and so forth like that and leave it up to them alone. You have to follow up. And in any uh, efficient running organization, it's very important for you to have a culture of continuous improvement. So follow up here is very, very important. Very, very important. Now, let us look at agile manufacturing. And this represents a very interesting approach to developing a competitive advantage in today's fast-moving marketplace. All right. A, places an extremely strong focus on rapid response to the customer. B, turning speed and agility into a key competitive advantage. And C, an agile company is in a much better position to take advantage of short windows of opportunity and fast changes in customer demand. For example, look at what's happening now. We have COVID-19 on our hand, and there is a lot of changes taking place out there on the market space as it regards to demand for product, as it regards to how we do business nowadays. Most things is doing online. So if you have a service business, you have to think about online. And if you manufacture tangible product, you have to think about how you source your raw material, how you go about manufacturing, and how you go about distributing based on the change in time and the demand in the product out there in the market space. So it's very important for you to have a flexible business. So it's very important for you to have a flexible business that would allow you to can increase your speed and be very flexible in producing the goods or service that is needed by your customer. All right. Now, why is it agile manufacturing? Um, why is agile manufacturing an effective strategy? It's because consumer love instant gratification. Your customer or your consumer or your client, they love to know that they can rely on you and depend on you no matter what the circumstances. You always pull through and they can count on you to be there. All right. Also, consumer love choice. They prefer to get a product exactly as they want it without compromise. And this is so true. All right. Consumers are fickle. Their interests shift and move in unpredictable ways. And it's not just the consumer alone. If you look at COVID-19, no one saw this coming, and it creep up on us, and we recognize that the market space or the marketplace is kind of unpredictable at this point in time. So you have to be very flexible in your operation and how you go about conducting your business. If you run on a business that is so rigid and so steadfast in one area, what is happening now would force you to change. And because your business is so rigid, it's difficult for you to make that necessary adjustment. And by the time you make that adjustment, chances are the market can slip away from you. So it's very important for you to run an organization that take in consideration what's going on out there and how you can easily and quickly adjust to compete and be competitive. Now, there are 4 key elements for agile manufacturing. One, you can use modular product design, and this is designing product in a modular fashion that enables them to serve as platform for fast and easy variation. That is more likely for a larger type organization that can have one part be interchangeable between products. All right. Now, for information technology, this is very, very important because we live in the age now of information technology. And we can see where this is going, especially with the pandemic. It shows us exactly what's going on out there in society. So automating the rapid dissemination of information throughout the company to enable lightning fast response to orders. All right. Corporate partners create virtual short-term alliance with other companies that enable improved time to market for selected product segment. We we always encourage our clients to ensure that you develop an alliance with your suppliers and with other manufacturers and companies so you can synergize and work together in order to get your product out there and be very creative and be flexible as well in how you go about that so that you would not get left behind at the end of the day. And the fourth one is a knowledge culture, investing in employee training to achieve a culture that supports rapid change and ongoing adaptation. This is ensuring that the culture within your organization is geared towards skill work, trained workers as well, and also workers understand what it takes to work in an organization that deals with continuous improvement, because you have to continuously keep improving. So as your capacity grow, your demand within the market space grow, you have to try to ensure that your culture is there um, to be a continuous improvement one. So you continue to improve on quality, improve on your production capacity, and continue to improve on eliminating waste from your operation to be very effective. Now, the next tool or technique that we're gonna look at is KAIZEN. And as I mentioned before, continuous improvement. Kaizen is a Japanese terms, which simply mean continuous improvement, and is a strategy where employees at all levels of the company work together proactively to achieve similar incremental improvement to the manufacturing process. In a sense, it combined the collective talent within the company to create a powerful engine for improvement. Yes, that's Kaizen. Now, Kaizen is broken down into two simple components, philosophy and action plan. Now, the philosophy aspect of it is where you are developing a culture where all employees are actively engaged in improving the company. And the action plan is organizing events focused on improving specific area within the company. And that is when you identify the areas within the organization that need to be improved, you go ahead and set your action plan and start to work on it. All right. But ensure that the philosophy aspect of it is there as well. So the culture within the organization has to gear towards continuous improvement for the company. Now, Kaizen work hand in hand with standardized work. And standardized work capture the current best practices for a process, and Kaizen aim to find improvement for those processes. Standardized work is living documentation which continually evolves through Kaizen. Standardized work here simply is saying that you have to have good manufacturing practices and you have to set a certain standard of, that how things are to be done from from the get-go, from the enter of raw material or the enter of a client requesting a particular service to the end result where you have a finished product or the client leave your office feeling satisfied that the service that they require is completed. And each employee will have to know their standard of work that need to be put out. So you have a standard procedure that each steps of the each steps leading up to the end product is followed and followed to the T in order for it to be finished in an effective and efficient manner and the customer feels satisfied. Now, a typical Kaizen event goes something like this. You set goal any necessary provide any necessary background needed. So you set a goal and the resources are available for your employees to carry out their work duty. You review the current state and develop a plan for improvement. You implement improvements. So the so as I mentioned before, you have to ensure that you do accurate record keeping so that you can review the data and develop a plan for improvement. And then now your action plan is to implement those improvements that you came up with. And the fourth stage is to review and fix what does not work. All right. And five, you review results and determine any follow-up item or any follow-up needed in terms of what needed to be improved, because continuous improvement is that you fix something tomorrow and you find that you can improve on what you fix. So you improve on it and you can constantly keep improving as the business grow. All right. Now, another technique that can be used on the Kaizen is PDCA, which stands for plan, do, check, act. All right. Plan, you develop an hypothesis, which is where you saw where there is a problem, you develop a solution to the problem. Now you run that solution, which is the experiment, and that which is to do. So you put your solution in place and see how it operates. That's how you check now, evaluate the result. So when you put your solution in place and you start to see, you evaluate, which is to check to see the results coming from that. If it's being very effective, you can then hack by refine your experiment, then start a new cycle, because it's like a continuous ongoing thing. You plan, you do, you check, you act. And then you plan, you do, you check, you act. You plan, you do, you check, you act. Until you get your system running perfect the way that you want it to. Now, OEE, overall equipment effectiveness. This is a best practice matrix that identifies the percentage of planned production time that is truly productive. All right. What I'm saying here is that, for example, you go to work, you have an 8 hour work schedule. I know, take 1 hour out of that for lunch. So your equipment should be running for 7 hours. All right, that would be your planned production time. But really and truly, do you really get 7 hours of productivity or production out of your equipment for the day? You can actually look at your overall equipment effectiveness. And I'm gonna show you a bit of how you can look at this to analyze how your equipment is been working and what it has been doing, if it is up to standard and being effective enough. All right. An OEE score of 100% represent perfect production. Manufacturing only good parts or good product as fast as possible with no downtime. This is like 1 in a billion. I've never encounter equipment that run straight, no downtime, no slowdown, only good parts, fast as possible, and it has been 100%. Um, it give you a 100% output rate as that. All right. So OEE is useful as both a benchmark and a baseline. As a benchmark, it can be used to compare the performance of a given production asset to industrial standard, to similar in-house assets, or to results of different shift working on the same asset. Benchmark here is saying that if you bought a piece of equipment and the manufacturer said that you this piece of equipment can give you 50 output per hour, but in your operation, you're only getting 25. So you're only getting 50% of what this machine can do. So you use the industrial standard, which is coming from the manufacturer, as a benchmark to see that I'm only getting 50% out of this piece of equipment. What is it that I'm doing wrong? What should I do to actually ramp up my output from this? So you use that as a benchmark guide. Also, you can use baseline, which it can be used to track progress over time in eliminating waste from a given production asset. All right. So you not okay. If I'm getting this, that means I'm doing good. But if I'm not, that means there's something going wrong. All right. Now, so as a benchmark, what can be considered a good OEE score? As I mentioned before, an OEE score of 100% would be that you're producing only good parts, fast as possible, no stoppage, none at all. All right. An OEE score of 85% is considered world class for manufacturers. For many companies, it is suitable for a long-term goal. 85% efficiency or effectiveness from a piece of equipment is not bad. That's very good, because there will be some form of downtime for maintenance, downtime for various different reasons, bottleneck, etc., and that maybe take away that 15%. So 85% is not bad. All right, an OEE score of 60%. It's fairly good, but there is substantial room there for improvement. So you would have to now look at your benchmark and see what is it that is going on here. Look within your operation and see if there is too much idle time for the equipment, if there is a bottleneck somewhere within your operation, and how you can go ahead and fix it. Now, a score of 40% now, that is below standard, and it would be okay for an organization that just geared towards efficiency and effectiveness. 40% there can be a start, but it's not where you want to be, and you want to try to ramp it up to at least 80 to 85%. Now, how do you calculate your overall equipment effectiveness? At the bottom of the screen here, you can see the equation where you can say the goods count times the ideal cycle time divided by the planned production time. All right, and you can get an idea of your OEE percentage of the particular equipment that you have in your operation using. Now, short interval control. Now, short interval control is a structured process for identifying and acting on opportunities to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of production. It is a factory floor process that engages team members to review performance data 3 or 4 times within their shift, to assess where they need to focus their effort to improve performance. This is like you have a total quality management system within your production system or production or operation, where you can actually check within the course of the day 3 times or 4 to see, or after each batch, to see what your end result is. So for instance, one machine, you start the day, the first batch came out, you get 80, 80 product from the first batch. The second batch came out, you got 70. Now you would have to look and see what's going on. I get 10 less, and you can look into how I can correct this from the get-go instead of letting it stay for the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month. All of that would be having, if you let that time span stay for so long, the problem can escalate to the level where you have a lot of downtime and you have a lot of waste, and you fall short of your target. All right, so it's very important for you to start your checks within the same day by looking back on your record to see what's going on. And also it's played a role of quality, in the sense that you can look at the features or the quality of the output of the product that you're putting out to see if it meets the standard that is required. And if not, you can correct it before moving on. All right. that will prevent you from having a lot of waste in terms of um, product defects and product where you have to rework, because you would have to rework a defective product or rework a product that is not made to the necessary standard or the required standard, and that will cost you more raw material, more energy, more labor, and that's waste because you're spending additional money there that is not necessary. All right, so short interval control can help you with such things. Now, a successful implementation of SIC will have the following benefit. It increases OEE by focusing on immediate and relevant losses within the ship, as I just explained. Increase effectiveness by utilizing high quality data at its source to drive decision making. Fast pace of improvement. Localized focus increases the pace of improvements. All right. Improve employee engagement. Team gains significant control over how the line is running. So, yes, everyone is involved and everyone understands what the organization stands for, because that's a culture. And they know that they are on the floor, on the ground working. They are responsible for checking the efficiency and effectiveness of each machine or each steps within the process itself in order to get the best result at the end of the day. Now, key condition for a successful short interval control process are a team that has a skill and the desire to make improvement to the production process. Get your employees involved from the get-go. All right. Leadership that support and drive the SIC process through words and action. Please, business owners and leaders, supervisors, etc. It's more than just to talk. It's also to act. So you have to walk the walk that you're talking about. All right, and your subordinates will follow you. Trust me on that. Now, high quality data that accurately identifies all significant losses. All right, forms that capture results from the last interval and action for the next interval. I know that a lot of small business owners don't like to keep records. Please, you need to keep records. These data can help you and assist you in times like whenever time you have a little complex of a problem where you're trying to figure out why is it that you're not producing or you're not reaching your target. Your data, if you can look back on your data, it can actually help you to see what's going on and where you're going wrong. And if you take the approach of short interval control, you would be able to pick that up on a daily basis and you can correct it before the problem escalate and get too big and cause you too much of an headache. Now, let us look at theory of constraint. Now, the theory of constraint is a methodology for identifying the most important limiting factor. Example, constraint that stands in the way of achieving a goal and then systematically improving that constraint until it is no longer the limiting factor. And in manufacturing, the constraint is often referred to as the bottleneck. All right, bottleneck is where the process slow down the most. It's slow, so it has to go through this operation. But once it reaches there, it's slow, and the process that follows after it will have to wait, and that can be a big constraint. Now, the theory of constraint provides a powerful set of tools for helping to achieve the operation goals, which include the 5 focus steps, and that's a methodology for identifying and eliminating constraints. You can also use the thinking processes, which is tools for analyzing and resolving problems, or throughput accounting, a method for measuring performance and guiding management decisions. Now, a successful theory of constraint implementation will have the following benefit. It can actually increase profit. It can improve, it can result in fast improvement as a result of focusing all attention on one critical area, which is the area that is a constraint. It improves capacity by optimizing the constraint, enabling more product to be manufactured. It reduces lead time by optimizing the constraint, result in smoother and faster product flow, and reduce inventory. Eliminating bottleneck means there will be less work in process. All right. Now, all right, let's go back and look at the techniques that can be used within the theory of constraint to combat some of your problems. First, let us look at the 5 focusing steps. 1, identify. Step 1 is to identify. So you identify the current constraint. So you look within your operation and you identify where your constraint lies. You exploit by make quick improvement to the throughput of the constraint using existing resources. And you subordinate by review all other activities in the process to ensure that they are aligned with and truly support the end of the constraint. Of the constraint. You elevate if the constraint still exists, meaning you continue to work on it until you can eliminate that constraint. Then you repeat. In manufacturing or in operation overall, when you find a constraint or a bottleneck and you tend to eliminate that constraint, that bottleneck can end up fall somewhere else within your operation or within the process. So it's important for you to look for where that bottleneck or that constraint will be next located and try to smooth it out by trying to eliminate it as much as possible. So overall, it's a continuous improvement, a continuous work in progress in order for you to have an highly effective business. All right. Now, the thinking processes are used to answer the following 3 questions within the theory of constraint. What needs to be changed? Which is the constraint, the bottleneck that needs to be changed. What should it be changed to? Simple meaning, how am I going to change this? Should I, for example, it's a piece of equipment that is moving slow. Should I change the entire thing? Should I get another piece of equipment to work alongside it to kind of smooth out some of the bottleneck and stuff like that? What action will cause the change? Should I buy? Should I make? Should I put someone there add more additional labor? These are all questions that will come out, and then you can brainstorm with your team and come up with ideas and ways and means how you're gonna get rid of these constraints to have an effective and efficient operation. Now, for the throughput accounting, you look at your throughput rate to see the rate at which your customer sales are generated. So you have to look and see the rate at which your product is in demand on the market itself. All right. And you would also look at investment, money that is tied up in physical things such as product inventory, machinery, equipment, real estate, etc. You know, um, you have to look now at your operating expense, which is your money spent to create your throughput, which is your end product, and see what does these things look like. um, where do I have a problem? What should I do? This will be more from a management standpoint or a business owner standpoint. So this is like looking at the bigger picture itself and see ways and means how you can help to get rid of constraints within your operation. Now let us look at total productive maintenance. All right, TPM. This is an holistic approach to equipment maintenance that strives to achieve perfect production. So you want to ensure that you have your equipment and you ensure that it has been maintained properly, where there is no breakdown, no small stops or slow running, no defects coming from your product. And in addition to um, all of that, you want to have a safe working environment. So therefore, you don't want a piece of equipment that is prone to accident. You want an accident-free working environment. And total productive maintenance is a technique that can assist with all of this. Now, total productive maintenance, if you look at the table here, it shows you some of the techniques that can be used to help you to maintain your equipment and keep it in a safe working environment as possible. All right, we're gonna go through um, these techniques in details. So first, let us look at 5S. The goal of 5S is to create a work environment that is clean and well organized. It consists of 5 elements. And 5S is just 5 simple words starting with the letter S. First, you sort. And sort here means to eliminate anything that is not truly needed in the work area. All right. For example, we all go to the mechanic at some point in time, or the furniture shop. We call them the woodwork shop. And sometimes you would go to your mechanic and it's just a simple problem, but your mechanics spend 1 hour trying to gather all the various different tools that they need to look at your car. So if you eliminate all the waste that you don't need within your workspace by sorting out your work environment and set things in order by organizing the remaining items, it will be very easy for you to can identify the various different tools that you need to start your work. So having a work environment where employees come in on a daily basis and they have to spend 1 hour trying to get tools together, that is 1 hour out of your production time loss. That's a waste because you have to pay that employee. Worse, they turn on the machine and the machine don't start to make anything as yet. That's energy going down the drain. The machine being sit there idle. You have to pay them. Energy is using up. That's come at an additional expense, and that is waste. Okay. Another important point is to shine, which is to clean and inspect the work area. Now, a clean area is a safe area, and we talk about health and safety, which is very important. And especially within this time, we have to make sure that our work environment and our work area is very clean and sanitized. All right, based on what's going on with COVID-19 around us. And it's going beyond just COVID-19 because if your work here don't clean, chances are you can have an accident, you can fall on something, and you can damage yourself and all those things. So the next step in the 5S process is standardize, which create a standard for performing the above 3 activity. So these are a set of this standardized here simply mean you put this in place and it becomes a standard of operation. No one can go around it. We have to sort, set in order, and clean our workspace, and that's the standard that the organization stands by. And we have to sustain it, ensure that the standards are regularly applied. And sustain here come from supervisor, managers, owners standpoint. You have to ensure that the standard that is set is sustained and maintained, and that will not change. All right. Now, for the others, let's look at autonomous maintenance. And what is it? It's place responsibility for routine maintenance such as cleaning, lubricating, and inspection in the hands of operators. So basically, how this help is that the operator will be the first line of maintenance. All right, you are operating the equipment. You must lubricate, keep your equipment clean, and ensure that you inspect it on a daily basis. So you don't want to have a piece of equipment using and you don't have no idea about it. The equipment not working properly, and you call the maintenance team, but when the maintenance technician comes, you cannot tell that person what is going on. Yes, you heard a sound. Where the sound coming from, you have no idea. You're the first line of maintenance. So you, on a daily basis, you check your equipment, you clean your equipment, you inspect it, and ensure you know what's going on. So that in itself, prevent maintenance team from coming into your space to actually stop your operation to fix a problem that can be rectified by you, the operator. All right. And that will minimize the amount of downtime that piece of equipment have, and then maximize the amount of output that piece of equipment can put out for the business itself. Now, for planned maintenance, is a scheduled maintenance task based on predicted and or measured failure rate. So you can plan your maintenance around a time when you know that you don't need to be producing any goods. Like, for example, you know that Saturdays will normally be a day where the business is not in operation. You can plan with your maintenance team to come in on a Saturday and to service or to fix a piece of equipment. So come Monday morning, you're good to go. All right. Quality maintenance is design error, uh, protection and prevention into productive processes. So you can apply root cause analysis to eliminate recurring um, sources of quality defect. So you can look at a piece of equipment and see that this is not cutting properly. It need to be calibrated, or maybe the blade need to be sharpened, or maybe you need to change the parts and so forth like that. You, with quality maintenance, you can actually plan again when you get these things to be executed, and that would not impede upon your operation time for which you need for your production. Now, focus improvement have small group of employees working together proactively to achieve similar incremental improvement in equipment operation. This is kind of a similar to what we spoke about when we talk about your short interval control. All right. So where the employees come together and analyze what taking place on a batchly basis, or on a, like every hour on the hour. So you can actually eliminate some of the larger problem that will occur if you allow it to add up. All right. Early equipment management, which direct practical knowledge and understanding of manufacturing equipment gain through TPM towards improving the design of new equipment. And this is where you will speak to your equipment supplier about how the equipment work, what you think needed, how it can be improved, and so forth like that. Training and education, this is very, very important. You have to train and educate your staff by filling knowledge gap necessary to achieve TPM goals. Applies to operator, maintenance personnel, and managers. So it's very important for operators, as well as maintenance personnel and managers and owners, to have a general knowledge, or advanced knowledge in some case, of the type of equipment that they have in their operation or in their facility, you know, and that would allow them to can troubleshoot and fix certain problem without having that large or that long lengthy downtime where they'll have to wait on a specialist. All right. Now, for safety, health, and environment, maintain a safe and healthy working environment. This is very, very important. Very, very, very important. I cannot express how much working in an environment, being safe in that environment is. It's very, very important. And you need equipment that is very safe and can work with accident free. All right. Now, TPM in administration, this is where you have your administration staff have an understanding of um, the work that need to be done in terms of ordering process, procurement, and scheduling of maintenance work, ordering of material, ordering of parts, and so forth like that. So your administration or admin staff should have understanding of some of these things. And um, where you have a small business, I know sometimes you have one personnel in that small business playing 3, 4 roles. So it's easy for them to have a general knowledge of what needs to be done and so forth like that. But it's still very important for them to ensure that they do the necessary um, record keeping for future in which the business expand and get bigger. They need more employees to come in and they can direct tasks. But they would have that record, which is the equipment history or the business history that show how it has been from then till now. All right. Now we're gonna look at the 7 deadly waste in operation or production. Let's go. Number 1, overproduction. Yes, we can produce too much. So making something before it is truly needed. This is a particularly serious form of waste because it leads to excess inventory that is often used to mask the underlying problem of inefficiency. And that is very much straightforward. I know for a small business owner, you just don't want to tie up all your cash in overproduction. And you know, most of my experience working with a lot of manufacturers here in Jamaica, I discovered that we have this steadfast, rigid approach that we need to produce, and we keep producing. You rather produce, overproduce, and stockpile in storage. But when you look at your defects and the amount of rework that you have to do, again, that shows that we are overproducing and reproducing, which is a waste because we are using twice material. When you get a defect or you spoil a particular product, you have to use that same amount of material over again, same amount of energy, which is electricity or gas, over again. You have to use the same amount of labor force over again, and that's being overproduct. That is overproducing, and that's overproduction. That is not being efficient. Um, Now, for countermeasures of overproduction, you can pace your production so the rate of manufacturing matches the rate of your customer demand. And it's something that the Japanese call tack time. Tack time, a perfect example of tack time is, let me put it this way. You're exercising, so you start to walk and you're walking slow. Your heart is beating normal. Your body, your muscle doesn't need a lot of oxygen to circulate. So it's fine. As you speed up your walk or start to jog, you find that your heart start to pump harder. You need more oxygen need to circulate around your body to the muscles. It's kind of a similar talk time in manufacturing work. Your demand drop and you slow down your operation to match the demand for the market. Your demand increase, you speed up your operation to match the demand for the market that you're catering for. So that's takt time. You can also use a pull system to control how much is manufactured, which is like a Kanban system. So you allow your market to pull from your production, uh, right? So you listen to what's going on in the market space via your sales representative, and then you would know how much need to be produced at what rate and so forth like that. Now, third point is reduce setup time so that smaller batches can be economically manufactured. You can do that as well. Now, the second deadly waste is waiting. Time when work in process is waiting for the next step in production. No value is being added. All right. It can be truly illuminating to look at the time from order to shipment and ask how much of that time is actually spent on true value added manufacturing. This is like when you have a bottleneck in your system and there is a long waiting time. All right, your process reach 50% into the finished product, and there is a bottleneck right there. So it has to move through the bottleneck before it move on to the next stage. Now, those other stage that comes after the bottleneck will be there sitting down idle, whether it be employee, which is your labor, whether it be idle time for your equipment, etc. Those things will be there sitting, waiting, idle, no work to get done at that point in time. So you have to pay the individual for their time being at work. It's not their fault that you have a bottleneck in your system. So you would have to correct all of these things to actually eliminate the waiting time and to reduce that amount of expense that you have to pay for labor and energy, etc. Now, to countermeasures for waiting, you can design processes so that the flow is continuous and there are minimal or no buffers between steps in production, which we can call like a continuous flow. So you can eliminate the bottleneck and design a process flow that is continuous, and you can have a smooth flow in operation there where you can utilize your time and therefore be very much productive. So you can also use a standardized work instruction to ensure that a consistent method and consistent time are used for each step of production. Standardize your work. An example of standardized work in such a case is like when you go to a KFC or a Burger King, any one of those fast food joint, you can recognize that the, the cashier is not the person who's gonna serve the juice or the same person that's gonna serve the chicken or so forth like that. And the person who's frying the chicken is not the person that is serving on the front. So it's a standardized work setup where each employee have a standard work duty to perform. And that standard work duty have a certain time span that it should be performing. That's why the cashier can tell you that your burger will be ready in the next 10 minutes or so forth like that. I know sometime in Jamaica we go there, we work a little bit excess, but there is a standardized work system just like that. And that can be applied to our manufacturing space or our office space, whether we're doing a service or a tangible product. It can be applied there as well. So, and that would allow to minimize the waiting time and minimize the idle time of machine and both human labor as well. Now, the third is transport. Unnecessary movements of raw material, work in process or finished goods. Now, the countermeasures for transport here is design a linear sequential flow from raw material to finished goods. So you have to do something known as a value stream mapping. So you develop a process flow that is linear. it move from one stage to the next. And you also have to design your facility that where you have your inventory storage of raw material is not far away from where the raw material should enter your operation um, floor and where it should start. All right. So you ensure that your raw material storage is at A and the process start at B. You don't want to have your raw material storage at A, but yet still you'd have to travel all the way to T before you can start your operation. All right. That would be transporting over a long distance, which is unnecessary because you're giving up time there and you're giving up energy and you're giving up efficiency as well in terms of how long would it take for you to complete your intended target. All right. As a small business owner, I know sometimes you have a small space, so your storage, it doesn't really matter where your storage are because it's just a small room you're operating in. But still yet you'd have to ensure that you streamline your operation so as to prevent certain other constraint or bottleneck entering. Like you don't want to ensure that you have this backtracking and you can cross contaminate whatever you're doing within your space as well. All right. The next point is to make sure work in process is not placed into inventory, which is a continuous flow. You don't want to have something that you start to work on and then you have to carry it back to inventory. For tomorrow, you have to come and pull it back out again and so forth like that. That's too much back and forth. That is not necessary at the time. And you need to avoid continual changing of job priority or priorities, which is which we explained already in the theory of constraints. Now, the fourth one is motion. Unnecessary movements of people, movement that does not add value. We can conduct, or you can actually conduct a time and motion study and look and see how your employee get things done. Um, I have the experience where I see people just spinning around, moving around, and you ask, "What are you doing?" And they're telling you that I am doing what you asked me to do, but you're spinning around. So you're seeing movement that does not add value to whatever needs to be done. Now, for countermeasures for motion, ensure that work here are logically organized, which is the same as 5S. And the example again that I can use here is you go to your mechanic and your mechanic keep on spinning around like he lost his shadow or something, looking for tool, looking all over the place. And a job that can take half an hour take two because it take 1 hour to find the tools and then another hour to troubleshoot and to fix whatever problem that occur or that they discovered. All right. So you have to ensure that you utilize 5S. 5S is not just for areas that need to be organized, but it can also eliminate some of the unnecessary movements of people within the organization. And you can maybe get a hour or some more out of your employees. All right. The next countermeasures is to consider alternative arrangement of equipment that reduce motion, and that's to value stream mapping as well. So you want to place equipment in arrangement where they have relations. So you don't want to know that when this the raw material or when the product that is in process leave this station, it has to go all the way across the floor before it enters the next piece of equipment that need to operate. You want them to be close to each other. So as it moves from here, it goes right to the next one, which is right beside of it. That will eliminate some of those unnecessary movements and some of those non-value added activity that you have going on, and you can utilize more time and see yourself making more product at the end of the day. All right, number 5, if over processing, more processing than is needed to produce what the customer requires. This is often one of the most difficult ways to detect and to eliminate, and that's true. All right, we can over process um, within our operation. For example, I remember one time I was at a friend's house and we were cooking some food, and this friend have the dumpling pot on for more than an hour. I mean, I was like, seems like you're cooking rubber. So that in itself shows you over processing, where you are spending 3 times the amount of energy that is needed to cook one little pot of dumpling. And it's the same can be applied to in your operation, where if you're not being careful, you can be over processing your product to the level where you're using too much energy, too much labor, and etc. etc. So you're spending more to producing just one batch of product. All right. Now the countermeasures for over processing is compare customer requirements to manufacturing specification. All right, you have to look at what your customer requires and compare that with your manufacturing specification. What is it that we're doing here, and what is it that my client want? So you have to ensure that what your manufacturing specification is similar or same as your customer requirements. All right. Next, you can look for potential simplification to the manufacturing process. All right, how can I produce these products in the best and simplest form possible, but still um, have the same high quality, high standard that my customer requires from me. All right. Now, number 6 is inventory. Now, products like raw material, um, work in process, or finished goods, the quantities that goes beyond supporting the immediate need. So you don't want to have this large inventory of raw material that gonna take a long time to come off your hand. This large amount of work in process that you have to still be working on to finish, and this large inventory of finished goods that is not being sold as yet or is not out there on the market as yet, but it's tied up in your inventory. That's cash there you're tying up right there. You know, especially if you're producing products that have a short expiry date, with you having that product sitting in your inventory, is that's the time is ticking to show that by the time it goes out on the market, it will have a shorter lifespan. So you don't want to be producing product or investing in raw material that is not needed at the time. So you can try an operation where we call just-in-time operation. All right. So let us look at the countermeasures for inventory. All right. One, bring raw material in only as they are needed. So as I mentioned, just in time, you are doing something known as just in time operation here. So you know your market, you know what the market demand from you in terms of quality and quantity. So you are going to ensure that your operation is done just in time for that. So you don't want to buy raw material and store that is not needed at this present time. You want to ensure that your raw material that you have is in demand and you can utilize it and send it out there on the market as quick as possible. So you also want to reduce or eliminate buffer between steps in production, all right, which is a continuous flow. So if you can reduce your bottleneck or where you have buffers, you would find that you can produce more during your operation or your operating hours. And that would reduce the amount of inventory that you have as well. And you can refer to, to, to overproduction countermeasures where we look at tack time and Kanban. Let me just go back there and show it again to you here. So you can also place production, pace production so that the rate of manufacturing matches the rate of customer demand, as I did explain, which is the tack time. And you can also use a pull system to control how much is manufactured. Because at that point in time, you would communicate with your sales rep, and your sales rep would tell you um, from from the get-go. The sales rep will let you in production and operation know what is demanded, and you can pull that from your inventory and produce it. So your your inventory officer, all right, can also know, or your procurement officer can also know through the Kanban system when is it that they need to procure raw material and so forth like that, so that you have a good really just in time operation. So the raw material comes in when you need it, and you can produce and sends out to your with your sales rep to distribute on the market when it is needed. And you can have your inventory with just the right amount needed for you to execute your business effectively. All right. Number 7 is defects. Production that is scrap or rework. Now, we definitely don't want these defects, because when you produce a product that have to be reworked or you have to scrap, it simply means that your raw material gone down the drain, labor gone down the drain, energy gone down the drain, etc., etc. All right. And if you have to rework, that means you're making the product twice at the same cost. Um, when you place it out there on the market, because it's not the consumer or the customer fault, it's your fault for you to make a defective product, so you have to rework it. So you don't want that. That is definitely a waste. Now the countermeasures for defect is you design processes so they are less likely to produce defects, something that the Japanese call pokayoka or yoke. That simply means if my process is A, B, and C, so A come first, B come second, C come third. Um, when A is finished and the product passed over to B, B will have to ensure that what A does is done to the necessary standard before B can start their process. Now, if A has a defect, you would have to send it back, all right, and that will be removed from the line. So instead of getting a finished product that needs to be reworked, you spot or you identify the defects from early within the operation, and it can be corrected before you come to making a finished product that is defective. All right. You can design processes to detect abnormalities so they can be immediately corrected. Same as Poker Yoga, that's I just explained. Immediately you saw the defect and you can actually send it back to um, the previous station for it to be correct before you had your piece of what they call it now, um, work to the raw material or to the product. All right. Look for a single most frequent defect and determine why it occur. So you can perform a root cause analysis. And this again come back to me stressing the point of you doing record collecting, because every single defect or every single operation that takes place batch by batch should be recorded, and you can see where which section or what has the largest or the most frequent defect, and you can analyze it to see what is causing this and how can I correct it going forward. Next, you can create work instruction that provide a consistent method of manufacturing the part, which is a standardized work. So if you're making table or chair, each foot must be say 3 feet. You can actually, and that's a standard. So it's much difficult for you to make an error there. So with standardized work and good manufacturing practices, you can put these in place to actually help you to minimize defects in whatever you're doing. All right. Now, I know I said 7 deadly weights, but I will give you a bonus. And this bonus is very, very important. A lot of people overlook this bonus here. And 8 deadly weights. And here, an extremely important form of waste that is not represented within the 7 deadly weights is unused human potential. This form of waste results in all sorts of lost opportunity. For example, motivation, lost creativity, lost ideas. You have human working with you, and they have potential, but you're paying someone to idle on a daily basis. That is unused human potential. Or someone turn up on work and they turn up and they give you 2 hours and they find themselves in one corner sleeping. That is unused human potential. So we have to ensure that we eliminate these wastes, and to ensure that whatever we're doing it to be very effective and very efficient in all our operation. All right. Um, let us have a little review of some of the things that we discussed, or some of the things that I just mentioned about, which is the essence of lean, how we can improve productivity, what is agile manufacturing, KAIZEN and how it can be used, overall equipment effectiveness, short interval control, theory of constraint, total productive maintenance, and the 7 deadly ways with the addition um, of the 8th, which is human, um, which is unused human potential. All right. Um, that's the end of my presentation, and we're open for question. Dana, are you there?
Yes, Jason, I am right here.
All right.
And I really want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for a very coherent, and you said the word in your presentation, illuminating presentation for, what is not necessarily a very easy topic to cover. I learned so much of the areas that you covered to me can be applied to, everyday life. But ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please go ahead and just type them in the chat right away, because we're going to go through as quickly as possible. So if you have questions, please fire away. But Jason, I just wanted to highlight some of the things, because you did your review, but some of the things that stood out for me, issues such as, not issues, but agile manufacturing. And in a time like this where COVID is really, rampant, and so many people are uncertain, being agile is the best way to really approach day-to-day operations and just going about as a small business person. You have to be agile, you know and as I said, that is also something we can apply to our everyday life. Kaizen, continuous improvement. We should always be striving for that. And it brought me back to design thinking, because design thinking, which we looked at last week, it basically encourages persons to continuously improve and look at how you can develop measures or solutions to potential issues as well. And what I love with the Kaizen, guys, if you missed this, plan, do, check, and act. Plan, do, check, and act.
Yes.
And you see, Jason, I was taking my notes. I really had to be taking my notes. And the 7 deadly ways, that was very interesting to me as well as what was the other thing that I really loved? Theory of constraints, identifying the most important limiting factor or the bottleneck. And as I said, these are really concepts that we cannot just apply to manufacturing and production, but to our everyday living and how we operate generally as business persons. So I really found it to be very, very good. As I mentioned, I haven't seen any questions yet, Jason, because as I said, it was very clear to me. I am assuming that everybody else more or less feels the same way. What I would love for you to do, because so many of the areas that you mentioned, they are very, you know, I guess it would be good in conceptually when we think about it and we look at how important they will be to manufacturing or ensuring that your production is at its optimum. However, can you just outline for me or for the participants some of the areas that they can access via the engineering unit that we have here at the JBDC?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone. Because
Okay.
remember, we are production engineers here, and this is lean production. So all of these techniques ties in. So everyone, we can assist any client that need us to work with them with any one of the above theory that is mentioned, our technique, our tools that has been mentioned within the presentation. So every one of them.
Okay. And also, what about some of the plans and so forth? Can you just tell some of the things, because you do facility audits and all of that as well, outside of just these techniques that are here, but just to make them aware of some of that improvement.
Well, yes, we do facilitate it, and one of the things that I recognize there is that um, every client have a unique problem.
Right.
So I I don't want to start to list out anything, and then at the end of the day, a person feel like JBDC doesn't offer this, so we are not gonna approach them. But once it has to do with production and in any sort, whether it's tangible or intangible,
Right.
we are here to assist.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. And in the presentation, you mentioned as well how important it is maintaining safety. And I'm gonna touch on that a little bit from now because our next presentation will cover the areas dealing with that ergonomics. So, okay, all right. So we're good with that then, Jason. If you want to contact Jason, his email address is jbennett@jbdc.net. So that's jbennett@jbdc.net. Or you can contact him via telephone. That's the technical services number. It's 876-758-3966. That's 876-758-3966. So you can go ahead and try and contact Jason. Okay, I'm seeing here Sherry Bent is saying, good afternoon, everyone. She was saying it definitely was very clear for her. She just wants to reiterate that although my industry isn't machinery or production heavy, the principles transfer to my business. I'm fighting bottlenecks and reminded to keep records. So, yeah.
Definitely. Right.
Right. So she's also very appreciative of your presentation. As I said, Jason, it was really very comprehensive and clear. So that if you aren't doing that, and as I said, they are applicable to everyday life, the principles that you highlighted. Okay, so if you, I'm not seeing any questions. So just to let you know that if you want to contact the JBDC generally, you can do that any one of our via any one of our social media platforms, whether Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or you can check out our website www.jbdc.net. You can send us an email at info@jbdc.net. You know, you can contact us. You can also call us via 876-928-5161 to see if you can get any further assistance with any business idea or, well, anything that you may have pertaining to small business development that you need to get some advice on. You can give us a call or check out any one of our pages or um, our websites. Okay, so also, don't forget that this presentation and the previous presentation that Jason did, managing operational efficiency, is available on our YouTube page, JBDC Jamaica. So please head on over there, subscribe to our page, like our page, click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the interesting webinars or other other things that we produce that you can access over on our YouTube page. So please remember to head on over there and check out any of our previous videos that we may have done for you. So I think we can wrap up really, Jason, because as I said, it's clear and I got confirmation from our participants. So as I said, I really want to thank you for being here today and thank you for making yourself available and giving us just so much, so many morsels. As I said, I can't digest all of them right now, but definitely something that we can all look into and see how best we can use them to not only improve production, but generally business and our lives overall. So thank you so much. As I said, next week, we will be looking at ergonomics in the workplace, interacting efficiently and safety. And certainly in a time like this, when we're dealing with COVID, that is essential. That's a critical area. And we will be looking at that next week. So please don't forget to join us, register early, and ensure that you're here to learn a little bit more on how you can operate efficiently and safely in this period. So until next week, take care of yourselves and be safe, and we'll see you again.
All right, thank you, Dana.
All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.